So what are you eating and what's working for you?
Are you familiar with the CAR? It's the calorie to antioxidant ratio. For most people, it's more looking at calories and macronutrients, proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats. What I try to do on a daily basis is count the amount of antioxidants that I'm getting in. So that fights the aging process. It protects us against free radicals, toxins that cause us to age more quickly.
What are you eating antioxidant-wise? That's your focus.
To get the maximum amount of antioxidants per calories, you got to look at certain foods, superfoods. I look at foods that are loaded with micronutrients. I'm going to look at what the animals, what they're consuming. For me, the greens are loaded with nutrients. Just trying to move towards a more of an alkaline diet that's high in micronutrients, low in calories. I thrive better on a diet like that.
Podcast twins, Vince, we're back in the twin cave. We got Eric here. We're going to introduce him in a second. I know you're going to tell the folks what to do before we get into the health.
Hey, first of all, we are back in the illustrious Twin Cave. So we've had a couple episodes that we've been out. We appreciate all the support. You guys have been watching and subscribing. We just broke 3,000 on YouTube. So we are very happy and we want to thank you for all that support. Continue to share, continue to like and subscribe on all the platforms, TikTok, Facebook. We even on Threads. We're on everything. So you can find us anywhere. And don't forget all my truckers out there and everybody else that listens in the car on Spotify. We appreciate that. And now I'm going to shoot an assist back over to my twin here as he does the introduction.
So I've known this guy, Eric Mish, to my right here for a couple of decades now. We actually originally met when he was an ADP payroll guy, and I was a lowly Wachovia newbie banker back in
Wachovia,
2005, I want to say, roughly.
Yeah.
And neither one of us are into banking and payroll. Well, you got the payroll company still, since you left that big organization that we won't mention because they don't sponsor us.
Right.
But it's been a good ride, and you and I kind of rebonded over my carnivore health journey, which is how my brother Vince and I got together here and started this whole thing. So
what's cool is that we have more than a partnership.
Yes.
It's evolved into a friendship, and that's why it's lasted.
Yeah, we were business friends before we were friends, and then we became friends. Sometimes it works the opposite way.
Yeah.
But it's a pleasure to bring you up here to the cave. And,
thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
Introduce you to Vince and Curfton and my team here at Winners. But you got an interesting take on health. You've been on this journey since 2012. I got fat, then I got unfat the last couple of years with carnivore. I did try many of your products back when, man, it was a long time ago when I think it was when I was first divorced and I had gotten fat from the first marriage. Not that the marriage was to blame, but it could have been partially. Eating out at restaurants and drinking all the time.
That will do it.
That was and
that's called the divorce protocol.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it was for me. It was the Jim and Purium
executed to a T.
To the T. There you go.
Right. Buy a Mercedes.
Yeah.
Start dating again. Go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
That's kind of the last time that I had really great results off your products because I needed them the most. But before
not that we're recommending that the way to do it.
No,
it does work.
It
does work.
Right. Without the divorce.
That's right. Yeah.
But before you even get into any of that stuff, because we're not doing a commercial today, we don't want to do that. We just want to kind of learn more. And I'm very interested in, kind of the next level of my eating has been on point, but what other things can I do? I know you guys have detox stuff that you're familiar with. There's protein. There's all different types of meal replacements, amino acids, peptides are the hottest thing in the world. Vince talks about creatine monohydrate almost every other episode.
Huge.
And so, the questions then become, what's actually working, what's actually garbage, because I know a lot of that stuff is garbage. But before we get to that, how did you get so into the health world from the financial world?
Yeah, thanks for the question, because I feel like the how doesn't matter unless you know the why.
Okay.
And that's what's brought me here. So just a quick, if you don't mind, just me sharing my story just briefly. As you know, I was working in a very demanding full-time corporate job, and you know how it is. It's the quotas, it's the expectations,
You're only as good as your next
they
sale.
that's it. They just keep raising them, and they give you less and less to work with.
And less money usually.
And
they cut our commissions.
Yeah, cutting your
after a couple
opportunity
years.
and expecting more.
Yeah.
So all of this in that kind of environment, as you know, creates a lot of stress and anxiety, and it starts affecting people. I saw it with associates of mine. I saw it with myself even, where it started affecting my physical and my mental and emotional health, and I realized something had to be done. And just to get myself through the day, it was using caffeine and stimulants just to survive.
As we all
just surviving.
Coffee right
It was
now.
like,
yes,
but
I
got to the point where I was drinking up to 8 to 10 cups of strong Colombian or Cuban coffee a day.
A
day. Now it's a lot. It's a lot. I mean, I was pretty much injecting it, intravenously.
Mainline.
Yeah, just give me a direct line. And so it starts affecting the nervous system.
Yes.
That's where I saw it really affecting, my sleep, my recovery, and I realized something had to be done. Now, also around this time, I became susceptible to illness, and I got a couple of really bad flu strains that threw me off my game for months on end. And I was experiencing some long haul symptoms, and I just knew. I felt like my gut was compromised, multiple rounds of antibiotics, and I knew something had to be done. So I started researching. I started watching some of the documentaries out. I started experimenting. I became my own science project, talking to people that really know about nutrition. And I started realizing that the problem was in the food I was consuming. And so I started making some changes. And interestingly, as I did that, I started feeling better.
Yeah.
Amazingly.
That's one of those things that can't possibly be a coincidence, right? Like that's got to be directly aligned.
Shockingly,
somehow directly aligned.
I started feeling more energy. My brain function, it was incredible and there was even some things at work. Some problems I had been trying to solve for months on end, and I couldn't figure out a solution. And about 30 days in, it's like everything became clear. It was almost like that movie. Remember he's taking the
That's Drew's favorite movie.
Yeah.
Are you talking about Limitless?
Limitless, yeah. I
talk about creatine. He talks about Limitless.
Limitless, yeah.
Episode.
I'm like,
I didn't talk about Limitless on this show ever. What are you talking about?
Man,
it's not like I related something I saw on that show to something that happened in real life that looked eerily similar and rhymed with from whatever. But that's another thing. So anyway, forget about that. Go ahead, Eric.
I felt like that. It was like it was so simple and easy. I was shocked at how could it be this easy? It's just a matter of changing the food that I consume, what I put inside my body, the water I drink.
So you didn't wait for the government to give you a new food pyramid or for Congress to tell you they're taking the food dye out of the cereal.
That was another big shift.
Any of that stuff. You just did it on your own. You didn't need anybody to teach you. You learned it on your own. He
suffered from FLS. He felt like shit. And once you suffer FLS, you got to do something.
I hate to say it, but for a lot of us, we have to hit a wall before we realize that change is needed. And I got to that point. I call it the rock bottom moment. You just hit a point where you realize if I don't change, I'm heading towards a disaster point. And so...
Not even death. Going in the hospital is probably worse. So
quality of life.
100%.
Quality of life.
And it was at that moment I realized that I can't wait for a politician, the government, a family member, a friend to take control and responsibility for my own health. This is my responsibility. And it was a kind of a light bulb moment, an aha moment.
So what kind of water are you drinking? Because there's conflicting things, right?
Yeah.
They say bottled water's better, but it's got plastic in it. They say tap water's no good. Like, what water are you drinking that's not going to kill us? We're the podcast twins. I'm Drew. That's Vince. Gold and silver aren't just history. They're security. That's why we partner with Miles Franklin.
And if you just call 952-929-7006
or email them at info@milesfranklin.com. Tell them that the podcast twin sent you. You'll get preferred pricing and you'll get very well taken care of by them.
Real talk, real value, Miles Franklin. Teach us something.
Get yourself a good filter.
All right.
You know, a good filter. I
like
personally,
one of those Mag Daddy stainless steel ones, or what do you got?
You know, it doesn't like there's a lot of different types of water filters. You could get a real fancy, expensive one. A good, basic, solid, carbon water filter that filters to the micron level does the trick. Okay. It'll filter out 99% of what you need filtered out.
All right.
I definitely don't recommend drinking tap water.
Not in South Florida.
Sure.
I
mean, even though they claim our water's so good down here in South Florida, I beg to differ.
No. Who claims?
The cities.
Those lion sons of edit that out.
Yeah. No, the water is definitely not fit for human or even pet consumption. Even my dog drinks filtered water. So it's really important. There's pesticides, herbicides, there's heavy metals, there's pathogens in our water and in our food. So get a good water filter. Also, mineralized water is important. Mm-hmm. Water that has natural minerals that, ideally come from the earth. Our bodies need minerals. They need hydration. And so all these things work together. But just realizing not only what my body needs to run efficiently, but also what I needed to cut out.
So what are you eating and what's working for you? Because we talk about nutrition, we talk about what we eat. Now Vince and I are primarily carnivore. I'm about 8% vegetables and 6 or 7% fruit, and the rest is meat. Yeah. And that's working for me. But what's working for you? Like, what do you eat? What does that look like? Yeah. Because I know you're not on the carnivore, so what do you do?
So are you familiar with the CAR? It's the calorie to antioxidant ratio. Okay. So for most people, it's more looking at calories and macronutrients, proteins, the carbohydrates, the fats. And so what I try to do on a daily basis is count the amount of antioxidants that I'm getting in. So that fights the aging process. Okay. It protects us against free radicals, toxins that cause us to age more quickly.
Lemon and ginger water, cayenne, turmeric, what's going in these what are you eating antioxidant wise? Well, that's your focus.
To get the maximum amount of antioxidants per calories, you got to look at certain foods, superfoods. So what we classify as a superfood is a food that's very dense in nutrients but very low in calories.
So steak and eggs would be on the list.
They have nutrients.
Because they're dense in nutrients.
I look at foods that are loaded with micronutrients, mostly. Now, for me personally, I'm going to look at what the animals, what they're consuming, because they have nutrients because they're consuming certain
and they got a lot of stomachs to to deal with that.
A couple of them, I think,
like 4 stomachs. I think.
4 of them.
It's a lot of stomachs.
Yeah, so that's where I'm going straight to the source. So I go straight to the source, and for me, the greens are loaded with nutrients. Although, for many people, they struggle getting green foods into their diet because they either don't like the taste. It could be kind of bitter, and most people just don't like the consistency. They're not acclimated, but just trying to move towards a more of an alkaline diet that's high in micronutrients, low in calories, and I feel like personally for me, I thrive better on a diet like that than one that's just processed and filled with empty calories.
Right. And have you checked that against your blood type at all? Have you done the research on that? Because we talk about, I have O.
I'm O negative.
I'm O negative as
I'm
well.
O negative, yeah.
But Big Brother over there is AB minus or something.
Oh, really?
So what have you learned about how that works?
I've seen less of a correlation for me personally to blood type, but I think it's more about, the other thing too is just trying to be aware of how our choices in food affect our environment and our lifestyle and just the planet in general, because I think it's bigger than just us, even though our choices do affect us, but they also in a roundabout way affect other people too. So just trying to be more aware of those issues. And, my research did lead me to a I would say mostly plant-based, if not a plant-based diet. But
Okay.
it's not just that. It's one that's high in micronutrients because there's a
Right.
lot of there's way you could eat completely plant-based and eat white bread and potatoes all day,
Right.
and you're not really getting the nutrients.
Absolutely.
So that's the key. That's really the key for me.
That's where people fail.
Right. And we've talked about, like, we had Denise was on talking about spirituality, and she happens to be mainly vegetarian.
Yeah.
And it works really well for her. When I did it, it didn't really work as well as the carnivore diet. So, and I tell people, like, oh, they look at me as some kind of authority on carnivore, like I only eat steak all day, every day. And I'm like, well, that's not really what I do anymore.
But here's where
you eat a lot of eggs.
I eat a lot of eggs.
So here's where we can find some common ground on it.
Real food.
Yeah, because
you're gonna say eat real food.
You got two ends of the spectrum.
Eat real
right?
food.
But what it boils down to is exactly that. It's getting off of processed food, ultra processed foods, which what we're seeing is contributing to most of the illnesses and the health problems in our society.
I was an addict.
Overly consuming ultra processed foods.
I was an addict. That's it.
It tastes great.
Right.
They manufacture it.
It's addictive.
It is highly addictive. They got all kinds of sugars, which is the most addictive drug in the world.
Hands down.
Period. You talking about lighting up the cocaine factors?
Mm-hmm.
Sugar lights it up even more. And it's legal, so you can do it all day and nobody looks at you crazy, but they look at you crazy when you say, I don't eat that.
Right.
I eat this. They like, that's going to kill you. Really? Okay, cool. I can buy that.
Right.
But what it is, it comes down to you do what works for you. I've done multitudes of different cycles of styles of eating, and all of them work.
Yeah.
As long as you stop the processed garbage. They all work. The Mediterranean was amazing. It's a little expensive because you're talking about a lot of fish and, seafoods, but it works.
Especially if you get the wild caught.
Yeah, because that's the only way to go.
Heavy metals.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're still on the earth.
Yeah, you still
real food.
You're eating real food.
You're still on the earth
and so
diet.
I was waiting on the water situation, but you take that filtered water, take a pinch of Himalayan sea salt, put it in there. There's your mineral water right there.
There you go.
I mean,
it's simple, but it works, and
you
it's
should
so
wake up with that every day.
It just boils down to our food choices, and also our bodies change over time.
Woo!
Our bodies change; they're not static. I mean,
every 5 years.
At different points in our life, we may have to adapt to our hormonal differences, our body composition, and our goals may change too, as far as what we're trying to achieve with health. So I don't believe there's just one way.
Right.
I think you said it best. You find what works best for you.
Yeah.
But there are a few foundational principles that stand regardless of...
Eat real food, number one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's what our bodies recognize.
Well, let's talk more about the vegetarian, let's say more of a plant-based diet, and what do you need to supplement, if anything, when you're going on? Because I've seen different things where they say, like, oh, the plant-based diet works, but you need this, this, and this, or it doesn't work because of this. So, like, what do you have to supplement if you're primarily plant-based?
Well, couple things, and I'm going to say, regardless of the path that you choose, we all run into a couple of challenges, and one is convenience, just because we're so busy in this. We live all a busy lifestyle, so sitting down to eat a nutritious meal is a real challenge. I know when I was working in corporate, I was running around. There were days where I basically go the entire day without eating. Which is not a good thing.
Right.
I was just busy.
Unintended fasting.
That's all. And then I come home, realize I was famished, and I would just scarf down 2,000 calories in a sitting.
Oh, easy.
Which again isn't good either.
Especially if you drove through somewhere. Yeah, you can drive through and pick up.
Exactly.
It's easy to eat 2,000 calories in one of those.
I mean, easily. So I knew that I needed to address the issue of convenience as much as what I was consuming.
Okay. I like it.
So I found a way, and let's face it, because back then I was doing a lot of juicing, and I was, eating these, beautiful salads, but I mean, who carries their juicer around? And it's not always possible. We don't always have access to it,
You mean you don't have one in that bag over there?
And
That
juicing
box?
can get expensive.
It can get expensive. So I needed to find some workarounds, and dehydrated nutrition was a huge piece of the puzzle. I found it to be a lot more sustainable, and I could just shake and go. I could literally mix some dehydrated formula that had all of the nutrients that I needed in an entire meal.
Right.
And I could just, as long as I had a liquid,
Shake
I
it and
could
drink
shake it in one of
move
these
on.
shaker cups here, and I could, consume. That's the ultimate fast food nutrition right there. And
there you
in
go.
a few minutes, I could couple scoops and I'm good to go. So that helped me keep the momentum going, so I didn't get off track, because if I didn't have that, I would probably have resorted to more of the drive-through scenario.
Yeah. So the problem, and we've discussed it on the show about, in my world, for plant-based, is most people that do plant-based diets, the lack of, they lose muscle because they don't take in enough of the building blocks of those amino acids that's going to help, whether it be protein or whatever the case may be, but they're lacking in the amino acids. And so you'll see a lot of skinny fat vegans, vegetarians, and people that look absolutely just sunken in, and they like, I've never felt this good in my life. I'm like, oh, you look dead. You can't feel great. They look sick.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that don't tell me because your blood pressure is 80/50 that this is the best you've ever felt. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
When the wind blows, I worry about you. So that's where my issue is, and I've always had major battles with people who swear by that lifestyle. And I'm like, I can push you right in your arm and get to your bone. You are fat and skinny at the same time. And the worst ones are the ones that are fat.
Yeah.
Because they're just consuming so many carbs because the vegetables is just not enough to fill them. So like you said, they're slamming potatoes and bread and all this stuff.
Pasta.
I've seen people go at Pancake House and get all of the, it makes me sick to look at it. And then I'm like, and you won't eat a piece of bacon? But you're going to eat all it? And I'm like, all right, you're going to get fat. And a year later, they're like, I've never felt so good in my life. Yeah, well, why you got to buy a new dress? Because
No,
sorry, that sounded very personal. Anyway.
You're right, because the problem is people don't get educated.
That's it.
They just go and do something because it's trendy, or they saw a TikTok influencer do it, and they're not truly getting educated about it. So the education piece, I cannot stress it enough. You cannot just hand someone a protocol on how to eat and they can follow it and they're going to be good to go.
Okay.
They have to, the education piece is as important as how they're going to execute it. And if you're not, it's the bottom line, because they won't have the belief, they won't have the understanding. And let's face it, and this is why people ask me for meal plans all the time. And the reason why I'm so much bigger on, instead of handing someone a meal plan, is teaching them how to make choices.
Yeah. There you go.
The decision process, because they're not always going to be in an environment where they can pull out there. Let me check and see if this is on my list of my meal plan. What happens when you're in social situations and you have to navigate, or you go out to a restaurant with friends and you have to understand how what's on the menu fits into your lifestyle? And so education is really, really important. So
I got an answer for that, though.
Yeah.
When people are like, oh, you look great, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And give them my meal plan.
Yeah.
Eat steak. Here's my meal plan.
It's
try it for a week, see if it works. If it doesn't work, do something else.
But see,
if it works, keep doing it.
You got to tell them, like, what kind.
Bring it with you.
Right?
All of them.
Because
I think, the basic part of it comes for me is people are eating so much garbage that they can eat hot dogs and get healthier than what they are eating in the drive-thru.
Hot dog's better than a Dorito.
100%. I mean, they call that cheap carnivore. How to go get the worst ground beef, the worst this, that, and anything that gets you from slamming Doritos and all this other stuff.
Packaged foods.
Yeah, right. You know, and he knows if it can stay on the shelf for months and months at a time, it ain't no good, because the only way they can do that is because the chemicals that they have in there. And we know that if you can't read it, don't put it in your mouth.
There you go.
So that's really what the bottom line is. And that's why when you talk about telling them what kind of meats, to me, that's next level.
Yeah.
You got to break them from the dangerous habits first, and then go, into the details. While, if you're trying to do something different athletically or aesthetically, where you're trying to, burn body fat and stuff. Yeah. When you get to the point where you're absolutely trying to shape up, then the types of meat that you want to have is definitely, or the type of supplementation that you're going to have with a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle, it becomes so important.
Yeah.
So you don't
I think that getting to the point of whether, like, you got carnivore and vegan on this side, but getting to the base point where you're just cutting out processed foods.
Yeah.
That's basically the same foundation.
I agree.
And then from there you can choose a path from there. And then, like you said, from there you can go into, I want to go into grass finished and grass fed or organic and free range.
Whole cow, baby. It's coming.
This
year Podcast Twins are buying a whole cow this year. It's happening.
I like that stuff.
I already picked it out.
It's expensive, but again, what we try to do in anything is just to get them started. Yeah. And unfortunately, we live in a world where people feel like they can take a scoop of something and add it to what they're doing and not really change the lifestyle.
Right.
And then they quit in 3 weeks because they like, this crap don't work. Yeah. It ain't the crap that you took that ain't working. It's the other garbage that you was eating that worked.
They could just go to their doctor and say, "Hey, I need Manjaro or Ozempic too."
Yeah,
right? Like they don't have to change anything. They can just keep shooting up.
Well, even when that happens, it does change what you eat. Well, at least it's changed the amounts in which you're eating. So at least, even if you did that, but once you come off of it, you don't adopt a new lifestyle, you're going to blow up. And it will come back, and it comes back with a vengeance. So the education part, and then the
unfortunately, there's no shortcuts. There is no shortcut. You have to walk the path.
Yes.
And I attribute the reason I've been able to stick to the lifestyle for 15 years now is because I put in a lot of work to get to that point. And it takes effort.
Yeah.
It takes effort, but.
And you like the results.
Everything takes effort.
But you like the results.
You want to get strong in the gym. There's only one way to do it. You got to do the reps. You got to do the reps.
What I usually say to people is, why don't you want that piece of cake, or why don't you want these cookies or brownies? I said, look, I used to be addicted to those things.
Yeah.
And now I'm addicted to how good I feel when I'm not eating them.
That's good.
And
good point.
Sometimes they care, sometimes they don't care. I'm always the odd one. You know me 2 decades. You know I've never been normal. And I'm not going towards that route at any time soon that I'm aware of. So, I'm okay being...
You want to know the level of addict I am? Mm-hmm. Every time I come in here and see that purple box, I think about Girl Scout cookies. That purple box kills me.
The purple box.
Because I'm thinking about the Girl Scout cookies.
Girl Scout cookies, you might as well drink arsenic right out of the bottle.
I agree, but I'm telling you, that's an addiction. I see it and it flashes I am an addict.
At least you admit it.
I'm a sugar
you admit it.
Sorry, girl.
Sorry,
all Girl Scouts ever, but you're selling crap. Get better.
I'm always going to be an addict. I can tell you that right now. So I'm constantly in recovery every day. I fall off the wagon. I got to get back on it.
No, that's very realistic of you to
mention the Girl Scouts.
You took a shot at a bunch of 12-year-old girls. Thanks, Drew. Yeah, we just got canceled by the Girl Scouts of America. Awesome.
You
guys do great work.
Call off that sponsorship.
I should call Rachel and see if she still works.
You guys do great work, by the way. Keep going. Anyway, so keep going.
No, but it's about awareness, and that was one thing. I was not conscious. I think in most people, they don't think about what they're actually consuming. From what happens from year to year, it's kind of like we're on automatic pilot mode, and we're just robotic about it. But it's being aware, thinking through it, and not just doing it because you feel social pressure, or you feel you're afraid to be different, but to think about what we're putting into our bodies daily and make conscious decisions about it.
Well, is there an effort, and let's say Gen X and under, so 55 and under community, and we'll go all the way down to teenagers and the alphas or the Zs or whatever they are, is there a conscious effort and an awareness happening where people are being more cognizant of this now? Or is that just my perception because we have a podcast that's health focused, so we're attracting the people that want to try the carnivore or do something better for their health or try keto? So is that my perception, or is it actually happening in real life that people are making a concerted effort to learn and then make changes?
If we got to go to the research.
Yes, I know.
What is the research?
That's why I'm asking you.
I'll tell you that based on the research I've seen, society is shifting to more of a health aware. And I have several examples of that. One is alcohol consumption is at a 90-year low.
Yes.
In fact, the industry, since COVID, has... I don't know if I can say that.
You can say pandemic or scamdemic, however you want to pronounce it. It's fine.
Because I know I don't want to trigger any algorithms.
No, it's fine.
But since then, the industry has lost over $800 billion because sales are down.
Which is crazy because in 2020 they told us sales were going through the roof.
They were.
And then, until they weren't.
Because they were an essential business. The liquor store was essential, and I was like, wow, that's crazy.
Is that something?
Yeah. And, I visited. But you're absolutely correct.
And it's with typically the highest consumers of alcohol are your 20, let's say 21 to 35.
Right.
In that segment of the population, it's down more than in any other segment.
Okay.
The highest consumer. So overall consumption is down.
So Gen X is still getting wasted.
And
the baby boomers are still getting drunk.
It's even affecting those generations, but the greatest shift has been that
distilleries, the bourbon distilleries. Jim Beam is closing next year.
Really?
Yes. Jim Beam announced that it's closing its distillery. They are one of the originals.
Wow. Yeah.
So Beam is closing. That whole tour is actually shutting down, I think, 2 distilleries in the next calendar year. Yeah. So I'm going before they shut it down. I got to go walk through and see it. Yeah, I got to go see. I just wanted to go through and see what's going on. But you're right.
And this isn't an indictment against the alcohol industry.
But they switched to smoking weed. That's all they did.
Well, and so that's
an interesting point.
It's interesting. It's interesting. The shifts in consumer behavior. We were talking about.
There's a vape shop on every corner. There's a medicinal marijuana. There's a recreational marijuana.
So perception of what's healthy
and they're everywhere.
There you go. The perception of
what's healthy.
Yes.
And so even happy hours. This is affecting the way we behave in society. Like, used to be like Fridays were like the day that the office goes out.
Yes.
Out
together.
After the office together.
Yeah.
And now they're saying, hey, we'd rather go to the gym, go out for a workout after work on Fridays.
Well, hell, most of the people don't even come to work on Fridays now. So that's the work from home day. So we are becoming an antisocial society where that's where happy hour used to thrive.
Correct.
Is that aspect.
Correct.
Hell, and I think I mentioned it even before. Women, if you don't get married in your college years, the decline of lack of marriage is like drastic because there's not a social aspect of it. Because now this is social. We swipe left, swipe right, but that's not social. At least when you went out to happy hour, hell, by the time you left there, you knew almost everybody in there.
Yeah.
And if you were single, you definitely was taking a shot and at least getting to know people. So we are suffering as a society socially,
right?
Which makes it awkward when you go and order something that everybody else is not having, and that kind of thing. So it's a social shift.
That's right.
That's changing. I forget the guy. He's an economist, but he's one of his big thing is, hey, 21 to 30. Have a drink, go socialize. And he's like, I'm not pushing alcohol, but he's like, the alcohol is what caused the reason for you to go to these
Correct.
bars.
No, you're absolutely right. And I have a question for you guys.
Shoot.
Is how we can, as a society, we can create the social impact of those activities, but create them around healthier habits.
The kava bars are huge.
Okay.
Kava bars are growing crazy. I haven't had it yet. But that's what I'm understanding that a lot of those younger people are going to the kava bars. They're saying it gives, it's not, you don't get drunk, but you get a little buzz or whatever from that. I haven't experienced it yet.
You notice how on menus now, the section of mocktails has increased?
Yes.
That's by design. That's intentional. Yeah, so the alcoholic drink section, a little smaller, but the mocktail section is a little bit bigger. And that's why we had the mocktail meetup a few weeks ago, because, we're trying to also promote one of the things that I've been trying to do, because I've been noticing the two shifts in trends. And how can we create that same social effect? Because I think it's very important.
It is very important.
Even for our health as well, because when we become isolated, we tend to also become less healthy, interestingly.
Yes, absolutely.
And so, but how can we create that same social effect, but around some healthier habits and options? So just something to think about.
Well, you mentioned another thing. You said the gym. So during that same period, as the alcohol was shifting down, places like CrossFit gyms, because they don't call it a gym, they call it a community.
A community, yeah.
And so they get together and they go out and do things together as a group after the Friday sessions and things of that nature. And so they are working towards doing things like that. The jiu-jitsu community is doing the same thing. So they are moving.
Anything that you can do outside fits into this, right? Yeah, like we 100%. We had Ani Monsalve went and did the meditation and mindfulness, and our networking group went to that. Nobody was drinking or eating bad food there. We were out in a park. We were laying down outside. She played the bowls. So there is more of that. And you did the mocktail thing. You had another event this past weekend.
That's right.
I'm gonna make it to an
event.
I
know. We're gonna get you out
some
there.
point. I just, we had my son's birthday party on Saturday.
But, and you know what? Everyone had such an amazing time. Like, we weren't, doing shots.
Yeah.
But we felt great because we were doing wheatgrass shots, actually.
Okay.
And so we felt the energy. The energy in the room was like, everyone was like vibing and having a good time. But we didn't have the things that make us feel like,
loose.
Yeah. The next day was a little bit better.
The next day was better. Yeah. And going home was a lot safer.
That's right.
And, so that's a big thing too. So,
I'm glad we dove into this topic, because this is something that I've been thinking a lot is how we can sort of merge the trends that we're seeing, towards health and wellness and awareness around that, and also the need for true connection and socialization.
Yeah. I mean, I think you did it then. If that was your goal,
that's our goal.
You did it, right? I mean,
good.
You've had two events already, and they were right in that wheelhouse.
Yeah. Don't pay attention to me if I come to the mocktail, and don't pay attention to me.
Let's shift the
gears. We won't say that.
Let's shift the gears real quick.
Yeah, let's do this. I'm very interested.
And get into glyphosate.
Okay, thanks
because glyphosate is big in the news if you actually pay attention to not the mainstream, but what's really going on. We're going to produce, thanks to Congress and our current administration, 1 trillion tons of glyphosate and then dump it all over our crops. And it's proven that glyphosate is an immune disruptor. It's poisonous. It's killing us. It's giving us cancer. So, the whole Maha thing takes a step back to me if you're going to poison my food after telling me you're not going to poison my food.
Maha is also still fighting with these other people that want to reduce the population of the world. So the easiest way to do it, they tried birth control. That didn't work. They opened up abortion clinics all over the world. That hasn't worked to the point. So what is one thing that everybody has to do? Eat. So we'll put it in the foods, and we'll start lowering. So, even in college, there's a salt that they put in colleges to lower testosterone, so to speak, because it's supposed to not make you as horny. and they put this in, and it's legal. They put it in. Listen, the salt.
It's wild.
Yes.
It's wild.
So I mean,
You keep telling me shit like this. I'm gonna go get a bottle of tequila and we're gonna drink right on the show, and we're gonna say to hell with it with liquor, and we're just gonna drink it anyway.
It is. It's. But these are things that they try to reduce the population.
Where's that chill
So
spray?
when that can't happen,
some shit right now.
when they can't get it by these other means, so glyphosate over our food.
It's so pervasive. You wonder if it's intentional.
Oh, it's absolutely intentional.
Wonder.
How
many sprays will make
do
me
at least
less
six under the tongue.
All right.
Get it under
But
the tongue.
for those that may be watching that are not familiar what glyphosate is, because I still come across a lot of people that have never heard of it, believe it or not, even people in health and wellness or practitioners, and they're like, oh, I don't know much about it. So it is the active ingredient in Roundup, the weed killer. And what interestingly, glyphosate was first introduced into the market as an antibiotic. An antibiotic. And they found that it was very effective as an herbicide because herbicides and antibiotics, they have some similarities chemically.
Okay.
And one of the things that it does is it disrupts an enzyme chain that is essential for cellular growth and health. And it's called the shikimate pathway.
Okay.
And so if you spray Roundup on a weed or on your grass or any broadleaf plant, you notice within a few hours, it already starts dying.
Right.
Certainly within 24 hours, it's dead. Sure. Within 48 hours, it's completely brown and shriveled up.
Yeah.
It's very effective in what it does. But it does the same thing within our gut microbiome. It destroys the healthy colonies of gut bacteria that we need to survive. We can't live without the bacteria in our gut.
Right.
We can't even live.
Right.
And the gut, which has been referred to as the second brain, controls everything from our immune system, our hormonal balance. In fact, our happy hormones, dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, are produced right here in the gut.
Absolutely.
And so when we feel like garbage, it's most likely because there's a problem with our gut.
100%.
When we become depressed, we become anxious. The problem is right here.
Everything.
And so glyphosate attacks perhaps the most important part of the body, and that's how we digest and absorb food. And so it's insidious. In how it interacts.
This is the processing center of everything that we do.
Everything.
And so if your biome is off,
and the gut and the brain, they're connected by the vagus nerve. It's a superhighway that constantly transmits millions of signals every minute. It's happening.
Which is why you can overeat garbage, because the signal, once you eat the garbage, it doesn't get to the brain fast enough. So you can overeat.
But knowing that glyphosate is sprayed on everything. And we've been spraying cheap Chinese glyphosate poison on everything for years. So I guess maybe it's better that we make the poison in the United States is the philosophy. I don't know. I don't understand it, but
I don't know about that.
But,
go ahead.
But knowing that, like,
let's just get rid of it altogether.
I can't eat bread or vegetables
regardless
or
of
fruits anymore because they all have glyphosate on them. So what do I do?
Well, there's a couple things you can do, at least to reduce exposure, because we're not going to eliminate it.
Right.
It's too pervasive.
Right.
So the first thing that we can do is try the best we can to eat organic. And that means that the crop itself is not sprayed with glyphosate. Now, glyphosate, the way it works is, first of all, it gets into our water supply, it gets into our air, and it's typically sprayed in commercial farming applications with a crop duster, which you've seen them in, on videos. And so it gets in the air, and the microparticles can drift to organic farms. So even if you as an organic farmer are using regenerative farming practices and organic practices and not using herbicides and pesticides, you can have glyphosate residue on your crops. So it's not a guarantee.
Right.
But it does reduce exposure.
Okay.
And the other thing that I recommend is if you use a certain brand of food, you can go to a neutral website. It's a nonprofit called the detoxproject.org. You go there, and they have third-party tested and certified certain brands and companies that are tested to be glyphosate free. Now, not everyone and not every food manufacturer is doing glyphosate testing yet.
Right.
We wish they did, but they're not. And so they may even advertise themselves as being organic, but they may not be completely glyphosate free because they're not testing for it.
Right.
So that's very important. And at that same website, you can order a glyphosate test and see if you have glyphosate in your system. And we know that statistically about 99.9% of North Americans have glyphosate in their system, and it's even been shown to transcend the blood-brain barrier, so it even transfers, or the fetus shows up with glyphosate exposure from the mother.
Yeah.
Great, we're cooked. Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. Sorry,
Go
bear
get
the
the
bad
tequila.
news, but
Well, we're going to have glyphosate all the time because
for
we play
generations,
golf.
even if we stop today.
We go to golf course. You play golf in the morning.
Absolutely.
You're gonna
100%.
when you pick up that ball, it's got that little green
you
stuff
know they're
on there.
using glyphosate.
100%.
I mean,
you know, and they'll tell you.
spraying
But that's what
Roundup
it is. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's the fertilizers, and our pets even, they're suffering. They, my little dog, he walks and I don't use glyphosate in my yard, but guess what? My neighbor does.
Yeah.
And so he walks over there and he licks his paws.
Yeah.
And so they're suffering from a lot of the same ailments that we are. And so imagine you haven't taken an antibiotic for years, but you've been unknowingly consuming glyphosate, which acts as an antibiotic.
That's crazy.
And it's destroying slowly. Even if you take a probiotic, the glyphosate is so you're taking in probiotics and then you're killing them off immediately with the glyphosate. So it's a vicious cycle.
Yeah.
That's why people take probiotics for years and they're like, I don't feel a difference, because they're putting the good bacteria in, then they're killing it off, putting it back in and killing it off.
Yeah.
The idea is put it in, remove as much of the glyphosate as possible, and allow those healthy bacterias to grow. And when it's like a healthy lawn, when your lawn is healthy, it doesn't, the weeds can't grow.
Okay.
So the key is to promote a microbiome that allows the healthy bacteria to flourish, and not the other way around.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
It's a very delicate ecosystem.
It is. I mean,
very delicate.
I'm also a crop duster if I eat too many vegetables and I walk by you. Crop dusting is anyway.
Hold up.